Hello, my foodie friends, or as they say in Korea, annyeonghaseyo. I might be mispronouncing it, but annyeonghaseyo. I hope you guys are having a great day. As you can tell, we are in Korea this time, or rather, our food is from Korea. This picture is an area in South Korea, just to clarify. Not exactly sure where. Excuse me, can you give me an idea of where we are? Anyone? No. Just kidding. This is a green screen. They ain't hearing me because they ain't really there. And I am going to tell you, we have got a delicious dish coming up. It's traditionally a main dish, and oftentimes it is put over rice, or you can have it in a lettuce wrap, or you can even cut it up smaller, put it in tacos. What are we doing? We're doing bulgogi. What the heck's bulgogi? Well, it is most commonly known in a lot of regions as Korean BBQ. Now, this is the beef style. You can do it with pork. You can do it with chicken. However, traditionally and most often, bulgogi is beef. If it's going to be one of the others like pork or chicken, it'll be chicken bulgogi or pork bulgogi, for example. So this one doesn't take very long to cook, but the preparation time is a bit long. We're going to go through it though, okay? I got you. So here's our instructions. Bulgogi, Korean barbecued beef. We're going to need 1.76 pounds, so just a little over 1.5 pounds and a little under 2 pounds of either ribeye or sirloin. The main thing is make sure it's good quality. We're going to be cutting it very thin, like 1/8 of an inch thin. So make sure it doesn't have bones and that it's nice and tender. 1 onion, and this is a white onion, peeled and thinly sliced. You need 2 stalks of green onions, again also thinly sliced. Half of a carrot, peeled and thinly sliced. And there's 2 ways to do this. You can cut it in rounds, kind of like what you would see in like canned carrots, only this is fresh. Or you can shave off thin layers and eat it that way. That is fine, either one. The thinly shaved, I think, is the more common though. We're actually going to probably cut it just in rounds just because it's a little bit easier. 1 tablespoon of toasted sesame oil. 1 tablespoon of toasted sesame seeds. And then 1 tablespoon of cooking oil. A lot of times they use rice bran oil. I could not find that, so I'm using vegetable oil. I'd recommend not using the olive oil because it's going to change your bulgogi flavoring a lot. Same with avocado oil or grapeseed oil. With this, if you can't get the rice bran, vegetable oil or canola oil if that's what you have. Now for the marinade. The marinade is done separate. 6 tablespoons of soy sauce. That could be light soy sauce. That could be low sodium soy sauce. If you want, you could substitute coconut amino acids, which tastes a lot like soy sauce, but it is going to alter your flavor. Just keep that in mind. It won't ruin it, but it will change it. 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. It can be dark brown sugar, it can be light brown sugar, or a brown sugar substitute. That is also fine. 2 tablespoons of rice wine. Just a heads up, this was kind of hard for me to find. I did locate it, but it's not an easy one to find in the store unless you're going to an Oriental market or an Asian market. I've heard them called both ways. Specifically, I just tried to find their ingredients at a regular grocery store because not all of you guys watching have Asian markets, Oriental markets nearby where you can get the supplies. And I would like you to know I was able to find all of these, or almost all of these, like in the case of the rice bran oil, at a regular grocery store, and that's awesome. All right, next is an Asian pear or Korean pear. They're both separate. They're both different. I was not able to find a Korean pear at the grocery store, but I did find an Asian pear. So that's what we used. Half an onion, this time a yellow onion, because those are the sweeter onions. And the marinade has got a little sweetness to it. 1 tablespoon of garlic paste. Your other option is you can do a tablespoon of minced garlic. You just want to make sure the garlic is minced very, very small, very fine. And then the next one is 1 teaspoon of ginger paste. Same with the ginger, very fine. I like using the paste because it adds an additional creaminess to the recipe. And because this is not, you're marinating with it, you're not cooking it in the sauce. It's just whatever sauce is soaked into the meat and on the meat when you cook it, that it doesn't matter as much if this is minced or paste. So the paste is my own preference. And then last but not least, an 1/8 teaspoon of ground black pepper. So you're using very little of that. All right, and before we go to my metric fan side, I wanted to let you know, Bulgogi has got a really cool meaning. In Korean, it means fire meat, which I thought was really cool. Not necessarily meaning that it's hot, but the way that it was cooked in more of a barbecue style, this refers to the fire coming from the grill. All right, my foodie friends, here we go, metrics. Ding da ding da ding da ding na 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 ding na la di 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 di. Do di do di dong ding lang dang di di ding. Do 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 do. You're done. And please, I apologize ahead for the song. I have absolutely no idea what Korean music sounds like, short of ripping off a song from BTS or some of those popular K-pop song peoples. You guys are awesome, but I can't be playing music or singing music that's going to get me copyright, So let's head into the kitchen and start making this up. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you, part of the reason why this takes so long is once you get the meat in the marinade, you got to hold on to it in the fridge for 4 hours or as long as overnight. The longer it's in the meat, the more that it absorbs the marinade and you'll have a richer flavor. So recommended that you do that if you decide to cook this, give yourself lots and lots of time or start the prep the night before. All right, guys, let's get it going. Okay, folks, so I did not put the meat in the freezer as long as I'd like to, so my meat is not actually frozen. It is best to cut this when it's partially frozen just because it makes it easier to make the real thin slices. So you can go ahead and start. You want your slices about 1/8 of an inch thick. Yeah, really thin. Mainly because this particular version could be used in tacos. It could be used with many things, but then that way the meat really marinates easier. And this is just traditionally how it is, just thin slices. If you're going to freeze the meat, I wouldn't recommend freezing it in the container that it comes in, because you take it out and you would wrap it in saran wrap and put it in the freezer to freeze up. But I didn't do mine long enough. With the weather outside, I guess I probably could have even put the meat outdoors, but then it would have just froze to the railings of the porch. So that might not have been so great. All right, so we'll get right back to you. Okay, so our meat is all cut, as you can see, nice and thin. You're looking at wanting maybe about 3 inches in length, thereabouts. Now we're going to cut up our vegetables for the marinade. Alright, before we start cutting the pear, you want to peel off the skin gently. This works best if your pear is not super soft. This time of year, finding pears is not really as easy to find super soft anyway. So this shouldn't be too difficult. But the squishier the pear, the harder it is to get the skin off. It's more just a texture thing, the reason why we take the skin off the pear. You do the same if you were to do a Korean pear instead of an Asian pear. Or if you can't find pears, in a pinch, you could do red apples. 1 red apple instead of pear. If for some reason you couldn't find Korean pears or Asian pears, or you have most of the recipe in the house, but not everything, you can substitute a bit. The other thing that's interesting is in Korea, sometimes people will also use pineapple instead, but that's just going to make it an even sweeter barbecue, and you want to be careful not to overuse it. You wouldn't want to do a huge amount of the pineapple because it can take away some of the tang. Alright, so now we're going to cut it up just small enough that it can go into the blender more easily. And then, yes, of course, don't leave the seeds in there. So, otherwise, we're just going to cut it up and throw it in. Alright, we have our pears in our blending container. Now we're going to go ahead and cut the onions. We're only cutting half of a yellow onion. Yellow onions are sweet onions. You don't have to make it really thin, just thin enough and easy enough for the blender to do its magic. So we'll add our half of that. Be right back with it. Okay, so we're doing 6 tablespoons directly into the mixing container of soy sauce. Any soy sauce will do. I chose for light just because it has a little less sodium. But regular soy sauce is fine as well. Just make sure you don't accidentally grab the teriyaki bottle by mistake, because that is a thing. They look very similar. Another option is if you can also substitute and use coconut amino acids, which taste a lot like soy sauce. It will change the flavor slightly though, so keep that in mind. Alright, and then next is our 2 tablespoons of rice wine. I will throw out, this one was a little bit of a challenge to find. It's usually in the cooking wine section, I guess, is what I was told at the store, but I haven't been able to find it at all stores. So just a heads up, you might have to go a little more specialty. Like a Oriental or Asian markets. There's a couple of different ones out there. We're ordering online. Alright, now 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. It can be light brown sugar or dark brown sugar. That part does not matter. If you're doing some for diabetic folks, you could also even do the brown sugar substitute. The brand Swerve makes a substitute that's pretty comparable. And since it's a marinade, you're not necessarily baking and cooking with it. There isn't a ton of change to it. We're going with what we have on hand, which is just the straight, regular brown sugar. Alright, and then the garlic paste, you're going to do 1 tablespoon of the garlic paste, which is brand new. I haven't used it yet, so we're going to open this baby up. Aren't you feel lucky? You get to be the first ones. I'm making it first with you. Yes, I am. So if you're not going to use the paste, there is an option. You can do minced garlic fresh, but you're going to have to mince it very, very fine, which is why I went with the garlic. Plus the garlic is nice, the paste is a nice creamy option. Then 1 teaspoon of ginger paste, which is also the first time I've opened this container. Same with the ginger. It's going to have to be minced very, very fine if you happen to be using fresh ginger instead of the paste. So keep that in mind. All right, and then last but not least is our 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper. All right, we're just going to put the lid on, and we are going to mix this up so we can put it into our meat. And the meat should marinate for 4 hours or all the way up to overnight if at all possible. Right, we're going to go ahead and blend it all up. You want it in a smooth to near puree motion. The smoother the better. That looks good, nice and smooth. Then we're going to pour it directly onto our beef that's been cut. And the reason we picked a Rubbermaid-like container is because once we're done, we're going to mix it all up nicely, and we're going to be putting our putting a bit of our sesame seed oil in as well, mixing it up and making sure all the pieces are nice and moist. And then we'll be closing it up and putting it in the fridge for 4 hours. We don't have as much time tonight to do an overnight situation, which is ideal. Is that you're going to want to do overnight if you can, just because the more marinade soaking in, the better. Alright, so once the meat's all kind of covered in the sauce, you're going to want to, for lack of a better phrase, massage the meat. Kind of tenderize it with your hands and get the sauce all mixed in. This helps it soak up the juices. And you do that first, and then we'll be adding the sesame seed oil to it. And then we'll massage it in one last time. Yes, as my camera lady said from a distance, make sure your hands are clean before you massage the meat. Alright, we've massaged it enough, so now we're going to add 1 tablespoon of sesame seed oil. Alright, 1 tablespoon, and as you see, I have grown out another set of hands. Thank you, additional set of hands, I appreciate it. Alright, so now we massage in the meat one more time. Yeah. I wish you guys could smell this. It smells so good. And the marinade, don't freak out, it's supposed to be thick. It's mostly the pear in it that thickens it up. So it's okay. It's supposed to look like that. Alright, I think we're good. Now we can go ahead and put the lid on it and put it in the fridge. Okay, so as you can see, we've cut up the half of carrots. Now, we chose to cut it, me and my crew, woohoo, chose to cut it circular. You can do the long across shavings, so that is fine. But we chose to just do it as is in thin circulars instead of ovals. And then you're going to cut the green onion, 2 stalks, all the way down to the bottom, as so. Alright, and for the onion, you're going to cut it up very thin and fine. Diced is totally fine, but if you like more of thicker chunks or more meaty chunks, so to speak, then what you would do is go ahead and do it in the thin, long pieces, but we like diced around here, so that's what we're doing. Alright, we put all of the vegetables in a bowl together. As you can see, there's some carrots in there, some green onion. This can go in the fridge until the meat is done marinating. Okay guys, so my foodie friends, we have let our meat set for 4 hours. I put this pan on medium high heat to pre-warm. This works so much better if you have a heated pan. So now we're going to do our 1 tablespoon of cooking oil. I have vegetable oil because, like I said before, I don't have any rice bran oil. Just measure it out. Go. And then what we're going to do is just make sure that the pan is entirely coated with the oil. There we go. Okay. And then we're going to add our meat without the beautiful, my cooking shirt for today. So if you notice a change in things, that is why. Because I don't want to get splattered with greasy oil stuff. Alright, so we're taking the meat and I'm draining it a little bit. Ooh, do you hear that? That is the sound of deliciousness. You're only going to cook for 3 to 5 minutes. Once this is in, we're going to add the onion and carrot and green onion. Mix in as well. And this smells so good, guys. Oh my gosh. I wish that you could. I wish I had smell-o-vision. I know I say that often, but it's true. I wish I had smell-o-vision. And this meat is so tender. Oh my gosh. That 4 hours was a great combo. We got our onion and green onion and carrots. So I'm just going to stir that around a little bit. And then we'll put the lid back on for 3 minutes. We'll check it at 3 minutes, and if it needs a little bit longer, then we'll go up to 5. Always, 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 my friends, I recommend that if a recipe says, 3 to 5 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes, check it at the lowest number when it's at, in this case, 3 minutes. Don't just automatically assume and go to the 5-minute mark, because it's partly based off of people's ovens. Everybody's is a bit different. Alright, so we'll be back with that. Alright guys, I am so sorry. I forgot to add the sesame seeds. We have 1 tablespoon of sesame seeds to add and mix in. But it's okay because the meat looks like it needs a couple more minutes anyway, so we'll just stir it in. Now, although it says 1 tablespoon, you can even do 1.5, all the way up to 2 tablespoons if you want to, if you're somebody that really likes the sesame seeds. Or, in a pinch, if you have somebody that says they would like some extra sesame seed on theirs, they can always add it in after the fact as well. It just would be a tad bit crunchier. Alright, so as you can see, there's still quite a bit of red squishiness, so we're going to cook this down a little bit longer. So we're going to go ahead and go to that 5-minute mark. Okay guys, let's take a look. Ah, it's perfect. It has cooked down some of the vegetables. The meat is no longer overtly pink. I mean, some pink's okay, but you want to make sure it's cooked enough. This is great. So you would put this over rice. Rice is a really popular way to eat and enjoy the bulgogi. Or you could do it and cut them into smaller pieces, use it in a taco of sorts, or lay some on some lettuce and close it up and have it as like a little bulgogi roll of sorts. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. And we're going to throw this over rice. Me and my camera woman are ready to devour some of this. And I'm going to be nice. I'm going to share. So, alright friends, I'll see you later. And I want to say, kamsahamnida. Thank you for watching the video. I miss your faces already, and I'll see you soon. Bye!